to Athena's Rapid Fire Takes on Ethics and Compliance Issues. Our guest today is Joyce Tong Oelrich, the Chief Compliance Officer at Zendesk. Joyce has a long, in-depth experience in high-tech issues, including AI, the cloud, and how it's best to mitigate those risks. Joyce, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Susan. I'm happy to be here.
I've been struck by your proactive approach to AI risk mitigation. And before we get into that, though, let's start with 3 rapid-fire challenge statements. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
First, strict controls and boundaries are the foundation of an effective AI risk mitigation strategy.
Not exactly. For me, the foundation for mitigation should be protecting the customer, the company, and other restricted data, not trying to really forecast where technology is going to be headed. So you will have strict controls and boundaries, but it plays a part in the mitigation strategy. It is not the only piece you need to think about.
Good point. Second challenge, building internal sandboxes in which employees can safely experiment with AI is a good compliance measure.
Yes, I would say this is probably the best compliance answer. Because employees are going to explore no matter what you do, and giving them a safe space to play where you know that their data is protected and your data is protected is really the best way to solve that conundrum of people are going to do it anyway. Let's give them a safe environment to do it within.
That's a great strategy. Third, putting humans into AI loops is essential, even if it slows down the process.
Absolutely. You always have to have a human in the loop because AI in and of itself is not deterministic, is probabilistic. So it is a probable answer to what you put in. It is not the actual answer. You still need a human to think about it and to make sure that the answer it's giving is correct.
Well, let's do our deep dive because those are really insightful statements. So first, let's talk about the actual foundation for AI risk mitigation. You were stressing data protection and security. Can you discuss that a bit more in depth for us?
Sure. So at our company, we're very AI first. Everyone is encouraged to play with AI in whatever way that we can. Everyone at the company, from the engineers who do it every day, all the way to me. I'm a lawyer. I'm not very tech forward, at least compared to engineers. And we base our access control around who has access to what data. And data security and protection for any company out there, it is your number one asset that people are going to go after. So everything that the customer and the company has in terms of data has to be controlled. And so what we do is whatever you bring to the system, so we do have access controls. I don't have access to all the customer information, so I can't pull that into any AI that I'm creating. Likewise, there are restrictions on other people. And our engineering staff, especially the security engineers, have been very concerned about, where the data is going and how you're using the data, because if you don't know where the data lives, you don't know who's going to have access to it and you can't control it. So we set controls over the data rather than the AI they can use. We do have some prohibitions on AI in terms of model usage. So we have approved models that they can use, but it's ranges from ChatGPT all the way to Claude and Anthropic. We have the whole gamut of tools that we can play with. It's really more what data you're able to put in those tools.
Well, and it sounds like your engineers have internalized that too, and are able to spot potential concerns. Is that correct?
Yes, our engineers, it's been beaten into them that use of certain types of data is very highly sensitive. And we're lucky that we have that kind of baseline where they do think twice before doing certain things. And the hard part is making sure that all of the new engineers that come in get indoctrinated the same way. and making sure that everyone understands how important data security actually is to the company.
Well, that sounds like a really effective compliance program to me, too. But let's turn to, I was really struck by your concept of sandboxes, which you talked about at Compliance Week. Can you explain a little bit more about what you've done with sandboxes and what the impact is?
Sure. So the reason we have sandboxes is because our CEO basically came out during a town hall and said, "Hey, I vibe coded this app that's going to look at the NCAA championships, and I did it over a weekend. Everyone should do this." And as a result, everyone in the company said, "Oh, that's interesting. Let's see if we can vibe code an application to solve one of our problems." But what we found was that once you vibe coded it, the only place it could live was on your laptop. And it makes it hard to share with everyone else if it is going to be a tool that everyone in the company is going to use. So the solution that we came up with, and this is driven by our IT department, with support from compliance and the AI governance committee, is to create a sandbox where people can go in and put their apps, and whatever access you have in terms of to the data, to different types of information, you bring those protections and everything with you to the sandbox. So if you only have access to Salesforce, that's what you bring with you into the sandbox. If you have access to all of our company information, that's what you bring into the sandbox. It's an interesting way to allow our people to experiment and also to discover how difficult it is to actually vibe code an application and then maintain it, because you most of the time we're only thinking about, oh, this is so cool, this was so fun to make, but then you realize there's a reason that products have improvements and they come out with such rapid fire upgrades all the time. It's because you're always finding things that you need to improve, and how do you make sure that you can maintain the product. So that's been really fun in being able to use the sandbox in that way. But we also have things like a hackathon, which was actually just last week, where engineers, business people, everyone gets together, comes up with ideas, and we try to figure out if we can do this within 2 days to get a proof of concept. I'm happy to say that our case management tool that we decided to play with, it got through regionals, and I think it's now up for company-wide vote. But it is all a collaboration, and we talk about the different things we can do. And 9 times out of 10, they're using some form of vibe coding or Claude Code or one of the other tools to design and build the application.
That sounds like a very creative way, and kudos to the compliance department and the legal department for coming up with a case management system to allow people to really familiarize themselves within safe boundaries. All right, for our last topic, let's talk about what you mentioned about keeping humans in the loop and why that's essential, and balancing the need for speed with the risks. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that, that would be really helpful.
Sure. Like I said before, AI is really, if you think about what AI does and what generative AI is, it is not actually thinking like a human. It is giving you the most likely answer. So if they said, I'm in the area shopping for and you have a blank, and you're in a car park, it's going to say, you're probably shopping for a car. But it doesn't know for sure that you're shopping for a car. It's just the most likely reason that you're standing in a car park, and that's how it would figure that out. So the important part is, what if you're standing in the car park and you're not shopping for a car? You're actually looking for some water or needing to use the restroom. All things that you can do at a car park, or a place where you're shopping for a car, perhaps. But that may not be your actual goal. The human is the only one who can actually say, I'm not here to buy a car. I'm here because I need to use the restroom, or I'm looking for someone, or something like that. So having the human in the loop ensures that the AI doesn't give you the wrong, most likely answer and gives you an answer that you confirm. And I think one of the issues is AI moves so fast and it can give you so much information. But how do you prevent those hallucinations and making sure that everything that you're giving them, that the AI is presenting the right answers to the right people? And I think that's the piece why you need to have the human, because you can always have two different agents checking on each other to make sure that it's giving the most likely answer. But the best, issue to solve is going to be a judgment call from a person. And that's the piece that AI and generative AI does not have. It doesn't have the judgment piece. It can give you what you did before as an example, but you still need to be the one that says, yes, that's the right answer. And it does apply. There are no nuances in this situation that call for a different result. That's kind of in every situation, not just compliance in the way we're using AI, but even in our products and what we present to customers. It cannot be 100% AI driven. There has to be some oversight from a person.
And that's a great way to understand it too, that it gives you probabilistic answers. So the example of standing in a car park and AI assumes that that's what you're shopping for is a really helpful one for helping people understand its limitations. So that's immensely helpful. Anything else you want to add for people who are grappling with should we or shouldn't we use AI extensively?
I think the best way to learn is to play with it yourself in a way where it's not going to be threatening and not risky for you. So it could be something as simple as, I want to go to Portugal. Can you give me an itinerary, plan all my trips, plan all of my side visits? This is how long I'm going to go for. See what it gives you and get comfortable that way. Or you could do something if you want to try vibe coding an app for your kids to play a game. And you can have, you and someone else create two apps and see which ones the kids like better. So these are very low risk, non-threatening entry points. And that makes it so that you can see what AI is capable of, but you can also play with it and see what else you can do with it and what it's good at and what it's not good at. And you'll find that different models have different strengths, and that will help inform how you want to use AI yourself.
Great advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on building such a creative ethics and compliance program.
Thanks, Susan. It was my pleasure.